Hello and welcome to PRSay. This is the podcast for the Houston chapter of Public Relations Society of America. And I'm your host, Veronica V. Sopher. So excited to be here with you. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We want to make sure that you get every episode of PRSay. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments. Our podcast is all about putting the Houston chapter members together so that we can get to know each other. And when we bump into each other in person, we are ready to just hit the ground running and really grow our network. So I'm really excited about our guest today. She is going to be joining us right now. Here we go, Valonia Walker, APR. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. I love having another V name on the show because it's not very often.
No, it's not. Us V's have to stick together.
That's right. That's right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and the space that you're in here and doing public relations in the Houston area.
Sure. So I am the Chief Communications Officer for Hempstead ISD, and I'm just really passionate about telling the stories of students and staff in our district. And we are in an interesting place right now in education. And so our jobs as school public relations practitioners is really important to be able to continue to share the good things that are happening in education.
I love it. You know, you've got my heart right there. That's what it's all about. And, you know, storytelling comes naturally to folks, but it's also something that you have to learn and grow your skill at. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on how PRSA and some of these other professional organizations that we're involved in have helped you hone in that skill.
Well, for me, it started in college. I attended Baylor University and I had the best communications professionals. I have to be honest, I went to school for broadcast journalism, had no idea what PR was. And the year that I came to Baylor, they had to end that program. And so I was guided into public relations that way. And my first PR 101 class, I fell in love. And so I joined PRSSA in college and held an officer position. And I haven't looked back since. But once I graduated, I ended up in education PR. I was an intern in a school district and I hit the ground running. I was a beat reporter. I did a lot of the writing for the school district and I learned along the way, but I had great leadership and I had great support to make sure that I knew all of the skills and tactics that it took to make sure that I was successful in this field.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I'm so glad you referenced having access to professionals at Baylor, because for a lot of us, that really started our path. And PRSA was PRSSA. And I always give a shout out to the chapter here at U of H because they do such a good job. And our chapter does a really good job of mentoring them. And I know that that's important to you. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on mentoring and mentorship and how that can grow the profession.
Right. So I think that mentorship is incredible. I came into PR and I was a baby practitioner and I didn't know all of the ins and outs. I was doing my job, but I still felt like I needed help navigating the world of public relations. And so I reached out on LinkedIn to a few professionals that I knew, and I came across my mentor, which you also know, Miss Shalia Reed. She really instilled in me to believe in myself, to walk in confidence that I am an expert in my field. And it really did help me along my career. It changed the trajectory of my career. And she encouraged me to go out and get my APR, to volunteer for different opportunities so that I could be in front of people, I could lead. And that really is important. I think everybody should find a mentor. I think everyone should talk to other people within the field, whether it's the same, Veronica.
No, like the same space. And I'm so glad you said that, because what's really interesting is that some of my best mentors were not in this communications education space. They come from oil and gas or even healthcare. So it's important because you never know where you're going to end up.
Exactly. And sometimes, they say this all the time. Sometimes it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And so, really networking with others, talk to people outside of your space
Mm-hmm.
and find out what you do have in common because you can learn a lot from those around
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for me, it was when I was young, it was taking heed of the mistakes that they'd fallen into professionally, especially with those job transitions. And I know you've been with different school districts. And so when you learn something from each person you work with and all the teams you have. But then as a mentor, I think it's important for us to share the mistakes we've made with pride and say, hey, this is what I learned when I screwed that up. And let me tell you how not to do it in the future.
Exactly, exactly. I can remember starting out as an intern and being very nervous and maybe sometimes not asking questions when I should have. It's
Hmm.
okay to ask questions. It is okay not to know. But I want people to know that as long as you find that support or network or group of people, you will be okay.
Absolutely. No, that's really great advice. And I always encourage folks to keep those lines of communication open because sometimes, and I know we've had guests on this show in particular in the Houston area who have been in the energy space and their job, there's an ebb and flow of that space that maybe you don't experience in the nonprofit or the government sector. And so some of that advice has been you never know where you're going to need to call on those mentors or even mentees for a job.
Exactly, exactly.
I think that's so important. What are some of the tips that you've got for young people coming into the PR space?
I'm going to have to repeat it again. Ask questions.
Mm,
It is okay. I think closed mouth does not get fed, and so I think broadening um, what you do in your everyday work life is important as well.
mhm,
Ask how you can grow. Don't just let them say, okay, you're the writer, just write. If you think you're into photography or if you feel like there's something else that's tugging on you, you want to learn the inner works of um, how it flows, ask. It's nothing
mhm.
wrong with it.
Yeah, no. And I know for those of us in the education space, being lifelong learners is really a badge of honor. And we talk about it, but oftentimes I feel like some of our professional colleagues in other spaces aren't as encouraged to learn and ask as many questions. So I love that that's one of your tips. What are some of the successes that you are experiencing right now with your team in the school communication space?
I think right now, I am new to my position in Hempstead and we're preparing for back to school. And I'm so excited to be in a new district and continue to put our district on the map and share the good things that students are doing. That is where my heart is, my passion is. I came into education. I'm a as someone who has a mother who was an educator. And so it's so important to continue to provide opportunities for students. I actually am a one person shop, it's just me. And so I'm going to be looking for some young journalists, enthusiasts who want to learn the ropes to work as an intern in my office. I would love to be able to partner with our high school students so they can get a taste of what being in communications is like, and hopefully that's something that they would like to do in college.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant idea. I think that's fantastic. I love that we're always trying to find ways to bring in young people because if we can ignite that fire, then it'll save them time as they're going through their college education to get all the classes they need to get right into the space they want to be in.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, any parting words? How can people connect with you and how do you want people to stay in touch?
Oh, yes, I'd love to connect. Please reach out to me. I'm on Twitter at Valonia_Walker. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn and connect with me there. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to trade public relations stories. And if anybody is looking for a mentor, I would love to talk to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, best of luck with the new school year starting.
Thank you so much, Veronica.
All right, guys. And you make sure you get on LinkedIn and Twitter and connect. And I'm going to make sure that I have Melania's contact information in the show notes so that you can connect, because here at PRSay, we want to make sure our members are getting value through this show by connecting and finding ways to work together and partner. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSay. And if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, drop us some comments and my guests and I will go back and connect. And we will catch you next time.